And outspoken advocate for social justice issues, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 33. So good to see you again, Kareem. What should it take for Irving to return to the court? What do you think of this list of requirements?
Well, I think Kyrie has to understand what's happening. He's being unwittingly used to promote hatred and anti-Semitism. And even though he doesn't see himself as being anti-Semitic, by joining forces and making posts like that, he can be used. And I think that's what's happened.
You're not new to this fight. 2 years ago, when Philadelphia Eagles' Deshaun Jackson tweeted anti-Semitic comments, you wrote in the Hollywood Reporter, quote, "If we're going to be outraged by injustice, let's be outraged by injustice against anyone," unquote. It seems to be a similar circumstance here, the same kinds of tropes from Deshaun Jackson, Kyrie Irving, Ye, a.k.a. Kanye West. Why? Why did they all seem so similar?
I think the lack of awareness of the harm that they're doing, both to the Black community and to other communities, the LGBT community, the Latinx community, all of these marginalized communities are all really in one lump. If we don't try to protect everyone, we won't protect anyone. We have to have that attitude about it and make sure that all marginalized groups receive the same protection as the groups that are used to getting that protection and feeling safe.
I saw a post by a Jewish American saying that Jews are in a way in a bind here, in a catch-22. If they do something, if they protest the kinds of statements that Kyrie Irving put out there, which is, that documentary is full of invented nonsense and lies about Jews being Satanists and that sort of thing. If they protest and there are consequences, then supporters of Kyrie Irving say, oh, look, see, Jews are powerful. We're not allowed to say anything about them, blah, blah, blah. And if Jews don't do anything about it, then the hate just continues unfettered. It's really a no-win situation.
Well, you know, a number of Blacks expected support from Jewish groups during the Black Lives Matters movement. And they got that help. But when the reverse was necessary, we ended up with silence. And for weeks, you know, Jews and Jewish kids were picked on and singled out. And we can't let that happen. The condemnation of anti-Semitism and other forms of discrimination has to be immediately announced and pointed out so that everybody understands what's going on and who the culprits are. And when we can do that, we're going to make some progress, because the people who aren't educated on these issues will start to wise up.
You know, what's interesting also is there's a quote in the documentary that Kyrie Irving helped promote, supposedly from a Democratic Senate aide. He was the guy was killed in 1976 by terrorists. But the quote was invented by white supremacists, I think in Idaho, in 1978, 2 years after he died. And it just makes me wonder how much the white supremacist movement is using their hate to get Blacks to hate Jews, when it's all based on the same hatred that they have for Jews, Blacks, everyone.
There was a group of haters that put a sign up on one of the freeway overpasses here in Los Angeles, and it tried to give Kanye some support. We can't do that. We have to identify the people who are behind all of this and point out to them that they are wrong and that they need to be educated. And you know, till we can get that far, we've got a lot of work to do.
You also recently wrote that, quote, laziness is what is threatening democracy, unquote. With the midterms tomorrow, I wonder how much of our politics you fear is defined by what you call laziness.
Well, people who won't vote or who think that it's not necessary to vote, they are wasting their vote, and they are really calling some very negative attention to what's going on in our country by not voting, by the apathy. We can't be apathetic. We have to go out there and let people know how we feel, and the vote is the way to go.
Before you go, I have to
Find
ask.
that, a number.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say a number of NBA venues are being used tomorrow for voting sites because it's that important. And I hope people, understand that and get out and do their duty.
Absolutely, 100%. Whoever you're voting for, exercise your right to vote. Before you go, though, I do have to ask you about your thoughts on LeBron James possibly breaking your career points record.
Well, whenever he decides to do it, he deserves any and all of the accolades that he has earned. He didn't get those points just sitting around on his butt. He worked hard for it. So whatever happens, more power to him. He's earned it.
That's gracious of you to say. No surprise that you would say it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the great athletes and voices of our time. Thank you so much.